Hey guys, this is run number 2 on Kelger's Lost Chapters, and this is going to be more a showcase of what Kelger can do, because here, in contrast to my first run, I have him equipped with pretty much everything, 5/5 ultimate weapon and all the bells and whistles. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of Kelger solo on this stage because he absolutely craps all over this stage. Looking at the mechanics, there is absolutely nothing in this stage that is guaranteed hit, and Kelger can buff himself with 100% evasion. So essentially, as long as you're doing Kelger solo, nothing in this stage can kill him. You do have to keep an eye on his buffs though. His 100% evasion is tied to his EX, and his S1 S2 buff is the one that gives him the preemptive strike. They each only last for 6 turns duration, so if you're not careful, they could potentially fall off. This run is also more or less, I would say maybe 50% auto plus. I tried to do a full auto plus run, but unfortunately the AI doesn't really want to use Kelger's S1 or S2, so eventually his S1 S2 buff will fall off and he'll lose his preemptive strike that way. He can probably still get it done fully auto plus, but you just lose a lot of DPS that way, and the run will take overall longer. So I instead went the route of half auto plus, which is I toggle auto plus the moment Kelger hits 100% FR, and at that point the AI can just take the rest of the battle. From 0 to 100% FR, firstly, as you can see, I went into BT mode with Kelger right on his first turn. The main reason for this is just to get all his buffs up at maximum duration, and then after his BT mode until he hits 100%, what you want to do is just actually do S2 and EX when EX is up. That's it. Do not hit LD, do not hit anything else, you don't need it. This way you are also sort of ensuring that Kelger enters his force time with very good durations on his S2 buff and his EX buff. So while Kelger is doing his thing, a little bit about why he's pretty good. The key thing about Kelger is that he does very well in solo play, as you can see, because he carries a ton of off-turn damage. For one thing, he has a preemptive strike that triggers at the start of the enemy's turns, in a way similar to Core, except that Kelger doesn't do a preemptive strike on an ally turn, which I guess further cements his role as a solo player. Secondly, every time he evades an attack, he also does a Shadow Wolf counter attack. All this put together means that the more enemies there are in the field, the more often damage that Kelger does, and the stronger he gets, essentially. Kelger's force time serves to further amplify this line of play, because each time Kelger evades an attack, he gets a whopping plus 50% force bonus, and anytime he does a melee attack, including his off-turns, he get another 10%, so all these preemptive strikes and counters will help to quickly build up his force gauge bonus as well. That being said, there are a couple of limitations in Kelger's kit that you do need to take note of. The first is, as I mentioned before, his buffs are pretty, I guess, short to medium duration. 6 turns sounds like a lot, but when you have to upkeep 2 buffs, and he also has his overhead and his LD that you want to press, and his FR, they don't really last too long. His BT aura also lasts only for 6 turns, so the timing is pretty important. And if you're not careful, and you're just hitting your strongest attacks, you may find yourself running out of 1 or 2 of his buffs. Secondly, I mentioned this in my pool plan video as well, Kelger relies very heavily on his 100% evasion. He doesn't have any damage mitigation in his kit beyond his additional ability, and I don't think it's very wise to just rely on his additional ability to mitigate incoming damage. For the most part, you don't need damage mitigation because Kelger evades everything, but as you've probably seen in many Shinryu stages, there are a lot of stages carrying the guaranteed hit mechanic for the bosses, and guaranteed hit attacks will bypass Kelger's evasion. If any stage features a lot of guaranteed hit attacks, then Kelger will suffer tremendously, maybe even to the point where he's not going to be usable there. Because for one thing, if there are guaranteed hit attacks, Kelger will not get the plus 50% force gauge bonus in his force time. Plus, on top of that, many Shinryu guaranteed hits usually also carries an HP damage component to it. And without damage mitigation, Kelger will very likely get one-shotted. He isn't a very tanky character, and without his evasion, pretty much most Shinryu attacks will kill him. Anyway, I am about to hit 100% force time. Once you are at 100%, then really I don't think you need to do anything much else. Just hit auto plus and let the battle play out by itself. There are also some stages, I guess fewer, but some stages that the boss carries a buff dispelling utility. And the good thing I guess is Kelger can evade most buff dispels with his 100% evasion, but there are buff dispelling abilities in this game that are also guaranteed hit. And if Kelger loses his buffs, it hurts a lot. His S1 S2 buff maybe not too much, he only loses his preemptive strike, so that's maybe just a loss of DPS. But if the boss manages to dispel Kelger's EX buff, he will lose his evasion, and being a pretty slow character, he might die before he can reapply his EX. As long as you are aware about all these limitations that he has and you play around it, then it really isn't much of an issue. Kelger will do fine for most stages, and you can also of course build a party around him. Take note though that being an evasion character, he doesn't really do well with other often damage dealers that require someone getting hit. Common examples include the other cover tanks such as Oren or Gladio, or characters such as Beatrix. They will not trigger their oftens if Kelger is the one that's always evading the attacks. You can pair Kelger with trap-like debuffs such as Size or Ace, or of course Machina with his Spiral Linchpin and being just released on this event as well. Or you can also of course pair Kelger with characters that have guaranteed often attacks such as the Dragoons, Kane and Freya, or maybe someone like Yang whose often kicks will trigger, just requiring you to do an attack on your turn. So there are some options, but a lot of them are a little bit outdated. You can also maybe you combine him with Wise or Core, those are other good options since they do additional attacks at the start of Kelger's turn. But once you have other party members, then it starts getting tricky because Kelger's evasion only extends to himself, so you do need to think about how the rest of the party will fare with AoE attacks. Coming back to the fight, in Auto Plus mode, the AI will use FR if your character has any FR left, so this means that Kelger will do FR on his first 2 turns. And then after that, the AI will use BT+, and then after that will alternate between EX and LD, so it's really ideal. The only buff that will fall off eventually would be his S1 or S2 buff, but this is why at the start I mentioned spamming his S2. This ensures that when you enter Auto Plus, at least his S2 buff would be pretty healthy overall and will last until the end of the battle. You can really see how fast he builds up his force gauge in solo play. I'm still at 10 turns of force and I'm already at 900% FR. In group play though, it might be a bit different. Kelger does have the auto lock-on effect as well, so most enemies will always be targeting him, which means that you should be getting the plus 50%. But sometimes, if other characters get hit and they don't evade, you lose the juicy plus 50% that Kelger will get in his force time. Plus also of course other characters taking turns would also deplete your force time turn. This is also another thing to consider and what makes Kelger really good at solo play. That's it really for this stage. I hope the video has been helpful, and if you enjoyed the content, do leave a like, comment and subscribe, it really helps a lot. Till then, I will see you guys in the next Shinryu fight. Bye!
見切れるか。栄を尽くそう。栄を尽くそう。見切れるか。栄を尽くそう。追い漏れと思ったか。見切れるか。追い漏れと思ったか。追い漏れと思ったか。見切れるか。追い漏れと思ったか。追い漏れと思ったか。あの頃を思い出すな。